all businesses have rules, some official, some unofficial, but to work for a company is to know what is expected of the employees, and the world of professional wrestling and the WWE are no different, as they too have their own set of rules that they expect the employees to abide by. We don't mean wrestling rules like having 10 seconds to get back inside the ring, breaking a hold when the opponent touches the ropes, or getting disqualified for using a steel chair, but rules that talents should abide by if they don't want to ruffle any feathers. In another era, half of these rules might be thrown out the window, but now these seem to be followed much more than they're forgotten. Shall we look at some? I'm Ben from What Culture, and here are 10 unofficial rules that exist in WWE today. Number 10. All babyfaces must smile. If you're a babyface in WWE, you must show your smile. In 1996, the happy-go-lucky Rocky Maivia was always grinning from ear to ear no matter the circumstance, and it made fans want to vomit. Fast forward to 2017, and it's painfully obvious that every babyface on the roster is not only reminded to smile like Maivia did, but it's probably the last thing they hear before they walk through the curtain. Think about all the babyfaces in WWE today and name one that hasn't smiled. Even Brock Lesnar has been seen laughing and smiling. This is definitely a newer rule implemented over the past several years because superstars like the Ultimate Warrior, Steve Austin, and Macho Man did not smile often. Just look at all those forced, Joker-like grins. Number 9. Everything needs approval. Thinking outside the box? Got a new move, a new design or logo for wrestling gear? For talents, the answer is always the same. Is it approved? It's understandable for WWE to have a proper chain of command and approval process, but what isn't sensible is to apply it to everything under the sun. God knows today's performers get enough training and brainwashing education from the WWE the moment they sign with the company, so they should have a good understanding of what it likes and dislikes by the time they've made it to the main roster. If they're good enough to have made it that far, shouldn't they be given some faith? They're peacocks, you gotta let them fly. Number 8. Finishing moves don't exist. There are no finishing moves in WWE anymore. There are signature moves like the Attitude Adjustment and the F5 that have come to be associated with a certain person, but they aren't finishers. True finishers end matches, and nobody's finisher in WWE today ends the match that regularly anymore. At their peak, the Tombstone, the Sharpshooter, the Leg Drop, and the Powerbomb were just a few finishing moves that nobody got out of. In the extreme rare case where these moves didn't end the match, they were protected and saved for the biggest of the biggest events. Endless kickouts lessen the impact, and with such inconsistency, the move is no longer a finisher, it's just a regular move. Number 7. Talent sometimes rises to the top. The cream always rises to the top has been one of WWE's favourite sayings over the years, but in reality, it's been a long time since that's been true. Too many gifted top-level talents have gone their entire careers without even sniffing a real main event, and superstars like Tyson Kidd, Cesaro, and Dolph Ziggler are just a few examples of the most talented performers in WWE never being positioned as such. Daniel Bryan and Finn Balor admittedly have enjoyed success, but the new rule should read, the cream sometimes rises to the top, because just look at Roman Reigns. Number 6. Commentary isn't important. During the various peaks of professional wrestling, the commentators played as important a role as any on WWE television shows. Whether it was Jesse Ventura explaining the heels' actions or Jim Ross encouraging fans to get behind the babyfaces, each commentator had a responsibility to help tell the story that was taking place in the ring. But my word, have times changed. Today, their responsibilities seem to have shifted into a function that includes advertising products and services that extend beyond the ring. Whether it's promoting a sponsor or product placement, the commentary team's job is very different. In addition, Vince McMahon is in the ear of everyone at the booth and is basically calling all of the action, but through the voices of whomever is seated at ringside. Number 5. The WrestleMania main event doesn't matter anymore. WrestleMania 3 broke the world indoor attendance record because the main event of Hulk Hogan vs. Andre the Giant was a match that everyone wanted to see. WrestleMania 5 generated nearly 800,000 pay-per-view buys at a time when pay-per-view was only just getting off the ground because the main event of Hulk Hogan vs. Macho Man was a match that everyone wanted to see. The last 3 WrestleManias have featured one of, if not the least over characters in the history of the WWE in Roman Reigns, and in 2014, few people wanted to see Batista challenge for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, forcing a card change. All this is to say the main event of WrestleMania no longer has the importance it once held and is no longer the selling point of the show. Number 4. All talking segments must be scripted. WWE doesn't want to take the risks associated with talents being allowed to shoot from the hip, so they'd prefer every word spoken to be with their approved language, as they don't trust the talents enough. It's understandable that a huge publicly traded company like WWE wants to limit their risks and mitigate any potential slip-ups by their talents, but when the company's entire existence is based upon creativity and a unique form of live-action storytelling, creative freedom is an absolute must. It's just the nature of the beast. Maybe not every single talent should be given a live mic on Raw and told to go for it, but there are far too many restrictions placed on the talents these days, and their scripted promos top the list. Thank God for Kevin Owens. Number 3. It's okay to steal spots from the main event. A WWE pay-per-view used to be a carefully constructed, thoroughly planned out show from the opening contest to the main event. Matches that occurred late in the card, usually the higher profile contests, were protected by not having similar spots performed earlier in the show. Well, that's clearly no longer a priority, because in terms of what's restricted from being used in order to keep the main event special, the current roster and agents' match plans are the Wild West. Too often the same stories are told in multiple matches throughout a WWE show, and even finishes are reused and recycled for matches including the main event. While you can see that talents would want to steal the show every night, there seems to be no professional courtesy in place. Number 2. Talents don't need to be protected. In addition to the match order and main event spots not being respected or protected, neither are the talents themselves. The difference here is that with the various spots and matches, the responsibility can be placed on the talents, but in this case, however, it's the bookers and writers that are to blame. Enhancement talent and lower mid-card performers don't always need to be protected, but in WWE today, too many top-level talents and performers with potential are being exposed and left unprotected by their booking on WWE television. Stephanie McMahon is a prime perpetrator here. While men aren't able to do much physically in response to Stephanie, they also don't need to be put into a position that makes them look weak and humiliated without even getting a comeback. And when it comes to the women, Stephanie's wrestled one match in the past 10 years and, oh, by the way, she won. How is that protecting anyone other than Stephanie? Number 1. Getting over is no longer the goal. The most alarming rule that appears to exist in WWE today is that getting over with the crowd is no longer the ultimate goal. In fact, if talents want to be employed for any length of time and in a worthwhile position in the company, they shouldn't even attempt to get over unless they've been given specific instruction to. Instead of rewarding talents that connect organically with the crowds, today's WWE seems to foster an opposite environment. The company seems to have a predetermined choice of whom they will allow to get over, and even then, the chosen performers must use methods and strategies the company tells them and cannot take any liberties in their attempt to become a star. Zack Ryder, Cesaro, and Damien Sandow are great examples of talents who got over on their own, but because it wasn't approved by WWE, they were quickly stifled. Despite the bogus brass ring myth, talents should do as they're told, not step out of line, and maybe one day the company will anoint them as a lukewarm, mediocre sports entertainer.
I am defiant.
I am
defiant.
I am defiant.
I am defiant. I am the villain.
We are defiant.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe below, and if you're looking for more content like this, then try a few things that are floating about around my ears. Might be fun. I can't promise it though, but it might be.